For years, millions of people have believed something very simple about staying healthy as they age. Just walk. Walk every day. Walk more steps. Walk longer distances. And walking truly is a wonderful habit. It keeps the heart active. It supports circulation. It lifts mood and reduces stress. But after speaking with orthopedic surgeons who have spent more than 4 decades treating aging bodies, a different picture begins to emerge. These are surgeons who have repaired fractured hips, replaced worn-out knees, reconstructed shoulders, and helped thousands of older adults recover from falls that changed their lives forever. They have watched the human body age from the inside. And according to many of them, there is one belief about aging and exercise that is quietly misleading millions of seniors. The belief that walking alone is enough to maintain strength and independence after the age of 75. The truth is more complicated. Walking is excellent for cardiovascular health, but it does very little to rebuild the specific types of strength, balance, and stability that aging bodies desperately need. In fact, many orthopedic specialists report seeing patients every week who can walk long distances without difficulty, yet struggle with something much simpler: standing up from a chair, balancing on one leg, recovering from a small stumble, or preventing a fall. These are the movements that determine whether someone remains independent in their 80s and 90s. And walking alone rarely trains them. That is why a group of experienced orthopedic surgeons began examining exercise programs designed specifically for older adults. They reviewed hundreds of medical studies. They analyzed rehabilitation protocols used in hospitals and clinics across several countries. They studied the daily movement habits of older populations known for exceptional longevity, including communities in Japan and parts of Europe where aging is often accompanied by remarkable physical independence. And after reviewing hundreds of exercises, only a small number consistently addressed the real physical challenges that appear after the age of 75. 5 exercises stood out. 5 movements that target the exact systems that begin to decline with age: balance, muscle strength, joint stability, reaction time, and a neurological connection between the brain and the body. These 5 exercises require no gym membership, no complicated equipment, and they can be performed almost anywhere. Yet the research behind them suggests they may significantly reduce the risk of falls and help maintain independence far longer than walking alone. So in this video, we will explore the 5 exercises that orthopedic experts believe every adult over 75 should consider adding to their daily routine. And pay special attention to exercise number 2, because many specialists believe it activates muscle strength in a way that traditional movement exercises often fail to do. Before we begin, take a moment to share something in the comments. How old are you today? People of every age watch these videos, and it is always inspiring to see viewers in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s still committed to caring for their bodies. Now, let's start with an exercise that looks incredibly simple at first glance, but quietly retrains one of the most important systems in the aging body. Exercise number 5, heel-to-toe walking. Most people assume balance is controlled primarily by the muscles, but balance is actually a partnership between the muscles and the nervous system. Your brain constantly receives information from tiny sensors throughout your body that tell it exactly where you are in space. These sensors exist in your muscles, your joints, and even in the soles of your feet. Together, they create something scientists call proprioception. Proprioception is your body's internal awareness system. It allows you to walk across a room without staring at your feet. It helps you step onto a curb without losing balance. And it allows you to move confidently through the world, even when your attention is focused elsewhere. Unfortunately, proprioception slowly declines with age. Research suggests that between the ages of 65 and 80, the accuracy of these signals can decrease significantly. As these signals weaken, the brain receives less precise information about where the body is positioned. This makes balance correction slower and less reliable, and that increases the risk of falls. Heel-to-toe walking directly challenges this system. Instead of walking normally, you place one foot directly in front of the other so that the heel of the front foot touches the toes of the back foot. The movement feels almost like walking along a narrow line. This extremely narrow base of support forces the nervous system to work harder. Your brain must pay close attention to the position of your feet, and the stabilizing muscles in your legs and core must constantly adjust to maintain balance. To practice this movement safely, stand near a wall or a sturdy countertop. Choose a point in front of you to focus on. Then slowly begin walking forward in a heel-to-toe pattern. Take your time. The goal is not speed. The goal is precision. Try to complete around 20 controlled steps. Practicing this movement once or twice a day can gradually improve the communication between your brain and your lower body. Over time, this improved coordination may translate into more confident walking on uneven surfaces, crowded environments, or dimly lit spaces where balance challenges often appear unexpectedly. But balance alone is not enough to maintain independence as we age. Strength plays an equally important role, which brings us to the next exercise. Exercise number 4, chair squats. One of the simplest movements in everyday life is also one of the most important indicators of physical independence. Standing up from chair. Most people perform this action dozens of times each day without thinking about it. But after the age of 75, this movement can become surprisingly difficult. The primary reason is muscle loss. As the body ages, skeletal muscle gradually shrinks and weakens through a process known as sarcopenia. This loss accelerates significantly in the late 70s and early 80s. Without regular strength training, older adults can lose several percent of their muscle strength every year. The muscles most affected are often the quadriceps and glute muscles in the legs. These are exactly the muscles required to rise from seated position. Chair squats directly target these muscles. They train the body to perform the same movement required to stand up from chairs, toilets, and car seats. To perform a chair squat, sit on a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor about hip-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them forward for balance. Lean slightly forward to shift your weight over your feet. Then press through your heels and slowly stand up. Pause for a moment at the top. Then slowly lower yourself back down with control. The lowering phase is particularly valuable because it strengthens muscles while they lengthen. This type of muscle work is extremely effective for building strength. Aim for 2 or 3 sets of 10 repetitions. If standing without using your hands feels too difficult at first, you can gently push off the armrests or your thighs. As your strength improves, try relying less on your hands. With consistent practice, many older adults find that everyday tasks like getting up from the dinner table or exiting a car become noticeably easier. But muscle strength alone cannot fully protect against falls. Joint mobility is another critical piece of the puzzle. And that brings us to the next exercise. Exercise number 3, standing hip circles. As people grow older, many assume that the knees or the lower back are the most important joints to protect. But orthopedic specialists often say something different. They say the hips are the true center of movement in the human body. Nearly every step you take, every time you bend down, every time you adjust your balance after a small stumble, your hips are quietly doing the work that keeps you upright. The hip joint is one of the most powerful and flexible joints in the body. It allows movement in multiple directions: forward, backward, sideways, and rotational. However, after the age of 75, hip mobility often begins to decline significantly. When you lose your balance, your body instinctively tries to step sideways or rotate the leg to catch itself. If the hips are stiff or weak, that quick correction becomes slower and less effective. That delay of even a fraction of a second can make the difference between regaining balance and experiencing a fall. Standing hip circles help address this issue by combining 2 important elements: mobility and stability. The exercise gently moves the hip joint through its natural range of motion, while also forcing the supporting muscles to remain active. To perform standing hip circles, stand next to a wall, chair, or countertop for light support. Even though this exercise looks simple, it challenges the hip joint in ways that normal walking does not. Walking primarily moves the hips forward and backward. Standing hip circles introduce sideways and rotational movement, helping maintain the full mobility of the joint. Exercise number 2. Isometric wall push. Most exercises involve movement. You bend your knees during a squat. You raise your arms during a shoulder press. You walk, step, stretch, and move your body through space. But there's another category of exercise that works in a very different way. It is called isometric training. In an isometric exercise, the muscles generate force without the joints actually moving. Instead of lifting or lowering weight, you push or hold against something that does not move. This may sound simple, but isometric exercises can activate large numbers of muscle fibers at once. For older adults, this method of training offers several important advantages. First, it places very little stress on the joints. During this time, you may notice several parts of your body becoming active. Your chest muscles engage. Your shoulders tighten. Your core muscles contract to keep the body stable. Even your legs help anchor your body to the floor. This coordinated muscle engagement strengthens the entire chain of muscles from the upper body down through the core and legs. Exercise number 1. Single leg stance. If there were one quick test that could reveal a great deal about a person's balance and stability, it would be this: standing on one leg. It may sound almost too simple. Yet researchers have discovered that the ability to balance on one leg for a short period of time is strongly connected to overall physical stability in older adults. Think about the act of walking. Although it feels like a smooth motion, walking is actually a series of very brief moments where the body balances on one leg. Each step places your full body weight on a single leg while the other leg moves forward. If the muscles, joints, and balance systems that support this moment are weak, stability decreases. That is where the single leg stance becomes so valuable. It directly trains the body to maintain balance on one leg for a longer period of time. This strengthens the muscles around the ankle, knee, and hip while also sharpening the brain's balance responses. To perform a single leg stance, stand near a wall, chair, or a countertop so you have something nearby for support if needed. Lift one foot just slightly off the ground. You do not need to raise it high. Even lifting an inch or two is enough. Now focus on keeping your standing leg stable. Try not to lean too far to one side. Allow the small stabilizing muscles in your ankle and hip to adjust naturally. Hold the position for as long as you comfortably can. For many people starting out, this may only be a few seconds. That is completely normal. With practice, the time usually increases. A common goal is to build up to about 30 seconds on each leg. This exercise can easily be integrated into everyday routines. These small variations help strengthen the body's balance systems in different ways. Many experts consider the single leg stance one of the most powerful exercises for maintaining stability and preventing falls. And best of all, it requires no equipment and almost no space. Just a small moment of focus each day.